Welcome back to the High Vibe Life podcast with me, Moira Cassava. This is a bucket list moment for me, bucket list episode. We have Dr. Joe Vitale here in the house today. Welcome to the show, Dr. Joe. Welcome to the High Vibe Life podcast, where we are obsessed with all things manifestation, neuroscience, personal growth, and quite simply, living a life beyond our wildest dreams. I'm Moira Cassava, author, speaker, podcaster, manifestation, and mindset master. Since getting sober 25 years ago, I've helped tens of thousands of women break through and achieve massive levels of wealth, joy, and freedom. Now it's your turn. Let's dig in.
I've been looking forward to this. Thanks for the invitation.
Absolutely. I've read your work for decades. You've written almost 100 books. I mean, are you going to go for 100 before it's over?
I'm just writing one at a time. When you stop and look back, it's like, how did I do that? There's 90 books written.
That's amazing. That's amazing. You are really a legend in the world of law of attraction, manifestation, thought leadership. I mean, you've just been doing this work for decades upon decades. You were in the movie The Secret. I'm very excited to talk to you about a film that you're producing, right? That's getting ready to come out. But I have so many questions for you. And I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for taking the time today. It means so much to me. Can you give me a little bit, before I start firing questions at you that I'm dying to know what's in that brain of yours, can you give me a little bit of the backstory of how you ended up doing this work? What does early life look like for Joe?
It's a fascinating question. I used to not know how to answer it. And somebody had said, how did I get into self-help? And I said, because I needed help.
Yeah.
I needed help. I was the first person. I was the first client. I was the one who was hurting and struggling and unhappy. And I was searching. And I began my search in the 1960s by going to the library and reading all the classic self-help literature that was available at the time and doing my best to apply it. There were no coaches outside of little league coaches and football coaches, is what we knew about back then. And so I clumsily was trying to find my way to the light.
Yes.
And I was insecure, immature, incredibly traumatically shy. And I was looking for help. I was looking for help for my own self.
Yeah.
That's basically how I fell into it.
Yes. I totally get that because I'm the exact same way. I always say I became a master at helping people get unstuck only because I've been stuck so many times and I had to figure out my own way out. So can you dig a little deeper into, you were homeless, were you not?
Yes, right.
And I remember watching a video of you talking about in that season of your life, because I do think there's a lot of people that aren't necessarily homeless, but still very stuck, that are reading the books and not getting unstuck, right? So I remember a story of you reading probably one of our favorite books of all time, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, from the library. So you're in the library reading this book and you're not thinking and growing rich, right?
Yeah, to put it bluntly, no. I threw the book against the wall.
Wow.
I was homeless, and I was more or less living in the public library in Dallas, Texas.
Wow.
On one level, it was great because it had a bathroom, it had water, it had air conditioning, and it had books.
Yes.
I'm a book freak, a book addict, and so my addiction was being fulfilled there.
Yes.
But I had no job, no car, no money, no food, no place to go. But I was doing my best to entertain and educate myself, and I was reading books like Think and Grow Rich. And I swear to God, it did not help me. I read that book. I was broke before it. I was broke during it. I was broke after it. And I thought, what the hell? And threw the book against the wall.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, what's wrong with me?
Yes.
What's wrong with me? And I think a whole lot of people go through that where they don't know how to apply it and integrate it and live it. And they end up thinking they're broken.
Yes.
They end up thinking there's a malfunction, there's a software glitch in their own mind. And I swear to God, I went through that. I know what that is like. even after homelessness, I was in poverty for 10 years.
Wow.
10 freaking years.
Wow.
And I think back on it, I could almost cry because of the pain. And
Yeah.
I was married at the time, two very lonely people who were trying to find some sense of peace with each other, and we struggled together. It was not an overnight success. Not in any way, shape, or form. And I can tell you sad stories, but I don't want to break into tears in front of you and on your show. So we'll move it up.
Yeah. So what happened? When was the shift for you? How did that happen? What was the moment or the thing or the book or the thing that happened within you to start the shift? And how old were you?
Well, I'm not sure about the age because that would have been around 75, 1975, 76, I think. And I probably would have been in my early 20s, something like that. And I was trying to be an author. I mean, I had a noble goal. I wanted to write things. I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to live from my written words, and I wanted to uplift people. Not so much in terms of self-help, but in terms of just making them happier.
Yeah.
I thought if I wrote comedy, if I wrote humor, which is some of the first things I was working on, if I wrote comedy and humor, it would uplift them. And by extension, I would make some money. I would make a difference. I'd feel better about myself. But trying to do all of that was really a rough road. And I was constantly reflecting, like, why? Why is this happening? Why am I struggling? Why is it repeating? Why am I still in struggle? Why am I starving? Why am I so unhappy? Why? And I remember because of that really ruthless reflection, I came to the realization that I was living out of a belief that I had to struggle before I could be a success. And this goes even deeper because I was studying a lot of the authors I admired. Ernest Hemingway was one of them. Jack London was another one. They were big influences on my life.
Yeah.
Both of them were self-destructive alcoholics, and both of them ended as suicides. Part of me, unconsciously, was thinking I need to have this dramatic, unhappy, sad life in order to be more interesting and to earn my success later.
Yeah.
And when I awoke to that, when I still remember the moment, I was awaking to this belief. And at first I'm appalled. It's like, I'm creating homelessness. I'm creating poverty.
Yeah.
You know, really looking in the mirror and owning it. The very first thing is this shock, deep level shock.
Wow.
How would I do this?
Right.
And then with the deeper understanding that I'm doing it for a positive reason, I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to be an author. And then the next step would be, what would be a better belief?
Yes.
And what would be better role models?
Yes.
When I started to move into that direction, like, well, I could probably be a success and not have to suffer. That's a new belief for me at the time. And I can find authors who were happy, prosperous, published, well-adjusted, good role models. I found those. When I moved in that direction, things became easier. Again, I'm doing this by myself. There's no internet back then. There's none of these self-help coaches back then. And I am struggling. Yeah. So it took me longer to do it. The people today, your audience and everybody, you're very lucky.
Yes.
Because you can change in a nanosecond.
Wow.
One of the things you or I say today can awaken somebody and change the direction of their life forever.
Yeah.
But for me, man, it was a rough, long road.
Yeah, I get that. And I haven't really thought about that much. I remember when my uncle died, who was like almost like a Wayne Dyer in my life, going through things that he had mailed to him, spiritual scripts, you know, and I thought, what just a different time where you had to send off to receive things that we now just click and have it, you know, an instant. It's crazy. It's such a different world. You said so much. You know, I first kind of law of attraction on the surface. What I first thought you were going to say was, you know, why am I broke? Why am I homeless? Why this? Why that? Just the focus on the negative brings more negative. And we kind of know that with general law of attraction teachings. But gosh, you took it so much deeper when you uncovered a limiting belief that was so deep. And I think that's so much of what people are missing, right? They're switching their focus.
Yes.
They're like,
Yes.
I get the law of attraction. I've got to focus positive. I've got to think positive. My thoughts become my feelings, all this stuff. But if you don't untangle what's so deep, and I'll just share this, and I want you to talk this whole time, but I've been sober for 25 years. I was sober for 10 years before I realized that my older brothers are 15, 20 years older than me, that I grew up as a tiny little girl. They were my heroes, but they were partiers. And that was a huge part, just like you're saying, Joe. Like, you wanted that life. You wanted to do what those men were doing. You wanted that kind of impact, but you were linking up their self-destruction. And that's what I had done for a large part of what drove me to the insanity of addiction and almost killing myself. And so there's these things that can go back to our childhood that unless we untangle the necklace, we're only going to get so far.
Exactly. I am so glad that you said that, because most people have a very superficial understanding of how to manifest change in their life. And most people have an erroneous understanding of how the law of attraction works. I have found through blood, sweat, and tears that there's a missing secret to success. And the missing secret is that you have to take care of what's in the subconscious / unconscious mind before what you're consciously declaring and intending will show up in your life. Too many of us are just on that superficial level where we just think it. And we're thinking, I'm going to be wealthier, I'm going to have my soulmate, or I'm going to be healthier, I'm going to win a marathon. You can say that all day long. And you can put a vision board up, and you can do the scripting, and you can do all the voodoo and mojo and everything that's out there to make it happen. And it will happen if you are in alignment with the subconscious database of all the other beliefs that are there. I tell people you have counter intentions. Your intention consciously is, I welcome great wealth in my life. Your counter intention in the subconscious could be, money's bad, money's evil, money corrupts. I'm not worthy of money. Money will destroy me. My God, there's so many things that could be in the subconscious that will make your intention not come true. And this is where people misunderstand. And this is where we start to create critics and skeptics and the disappointed, because they say, oh, I tried that secret BS. It didn't work for me. Of course it didn't work for you. Part of you below the surface had other intentions.
And the part below the surface is running the whole show.
Align that, then you can have magic and miracles in your life. Then you can do just about, that's the whole point of my movie. You can do virtually anything when you are in alignment. That's the missing secret.
So I love this uncovering of this secret, because I think we just exposed a lot for a lot of people in the best of ways. But where do we go from there? So I think most people are probably asking themselves, well, maybe that's why it's not working for me, but I don't know what the self-limiting belief is, or they've identified the self-limiting belief and they don't know how to shift it. So can you help us with those two things?
Yeah, those are $1 million questions. That's really going for the gold here. So you're good at this. This is what we want to address. The very first one is what I did when I was homeless. When I kept hearing that beliefs were creating my reality, and I struggled with it and I denied it, but I started to play with it. I thought, what could be a limiting belief? Just playing with a possibility. So somebody that's struggling with a reoccurring issue, if it's reoccurring, you almost certainly have a limiting belief that's a little bit in the blind spot of your consciousness. Well, one of the things you can do is just play with the idea of, okay, let's assume there's a limiting belief there. What might it be? And allow some ideas to surface, because there'll be some playful things that come up and you might go, well, I don't believe that. Well, maybe a deeper part of you believes it, which is why it showed up in your consciousness when you asked the question, what might I believe? I remember when I was living on a dump that I can barely afford to be in, this little efficiency back in Houston, Texas, and probably in the early 1980s. and struggling with that belief. And I looked around in my awareness and where I was, thinking, I created this. And as much as I'm complaining about it and all the limitation there, why would I create this the way it is? And that started to unearth that belief about struggle. Well, Joe, you have to struggle. You have to have this unhappy life to earn the happy life. Those are limiting beliefs. Those aren't facts and those aren't reality. But my belief was creating it as such. So the very first thing I would do is welcome people to just play with, hey, let's play the belief game. What could be there?
Yeah.
The second thing is, there's several ways to get rid of beliefs. I've kind of specialized in collecting them, and I write about them in the 90-some books.
Yes.
Focus on a couple of them in the movie, Zero Limits. And I like to bring in at least this one way of dismantling a belief. So we played the game. What could be the belief there? We got a couple of beliefs we wrote down on a piece of paper maybe. And now we want to bring in an attorney. We want to cross-examine the belief. We want to find out what is the evidence for that belief.
Yeah.
Why do I believe it? What's the story behind it? Where might it have come from? I've gone through 2 divorces, so I know what attorneys do. So it's real easy for in my mind to go, okay, I'm bringing in that badass cross-examining attorney, and he's got to look at the belief there and go, okay, Joe, what's the evidence for that belief?
Yeah.
When you actually analyze it with that sense of critical thinking, you'll dismantle the belief. It'll go.
Yeah.
Much like when I looked at playing with beliefs and I saw, oh, I have to suffer. A good attorney would come in. Is that true? Do you have to suffer? Where's the evidence that you have to suffer? Has there been anybody in history who achieved your level of success or the level of success you want and they didn't struggle?
Right.
When you dismantle it with critical thinking, you're free from it. Yeah. And that's just one way. There's lots of other ways to do it. I'm sure you know them and teach them.
Well, I love that because everything you just shared was really the way that I teach it as well. And
nice.
And spiritually, I mean, I may have read this somewhere, but spiritually, I feel like that process was given to me when I needed to dismantle the most ingrained belief of my life, which was I'm an alcoholic, and that wasn't necessarily serving me. But I thought I can't dismantle that or I will die. I mean, it was such a huge thing to tackle. And just like you said, it was, dismantle the evidence from this case and assemble the evidence over here. And as soon as you do that, I mean, it was 180-degree life change in every area of my life because it was my identity, Yeah. And
beautiful.
Yeah, we're talking like big things here. We're talking no limits when you shift these things that are subconsciously holding you back. Yeah. You've written.
Well, let me tell you. Can I tell you a quick story?
Please do.
That illustrates this. I'm in my 70s now. When I had gotten into my 60s, I looked around and said what was on my bucket list, and I wanted to be a musician. I had a guitar, I played a little harmonica. I didn't know what I was doing. And I set up the intention to be a performing singer-songwriter, gather a band, go in the studio, record my own stuff, go on stage. I mean, big, bold, ballsy stuff.
In your 60s, having never done this before.
Right. No musical background. I didn't even do karaoke. I never sang in the shower. I didn't sing, behind the wheel of the car.
Wow.
I didn't do any of that stuff. So I'm jumping into the deep end because I wanted to do it. It was my new intention. And the very first thing that happened was terror. Terror. Everything from thinking I'm going to ruin my reputation. I worked my entire life to make myself known as an author. I was already in the secret. I had a lot of fame coming to me, traveling around the world. Now I'm going to be a musician? Yeah. This is going to confuse everybody, possibly destroy my brand, ruin me. I mean, the dark thoughts were just coming up. And I remember I took a workshop. It was a small singer-songwriter workshop. And there were a couple pretty well-known, at least in the area, singer-songwriters there. And one of them had said he still had nervousness whenever he tried something new. He still had nervousness before he went on stage. He still had nervousness when he wanted to learn a new chord or a new instrument or a new scale. But he said, I learned to ask myself a question. And this question ended up being $1 million question that I used then, I use now, and I want to share with you and everybody that's participating here today. And that question is, where's the proof that you can't do this? Where's the proof that you can't do this? And in reality, there isn't any. Going back to the cross-examiners, like, where's the evidence that you can't be a singer?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have any.
Right.
It takes away the power of the negative thinking.
Yes.
It's like, yeah, you haven't done it before, but that doesn't mean you can't do it.
Yeah.
And I went on, I recorded 15 albums, 6 singer-songwriter albums. My music is in movies. It's in my own movie. I did perform on stage with the Band of Legends, which they're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They truly are legends. And yes, I was nervous every step of the way, but I also had an exhilarating rush of a time.
Yes.
And I get to tell the world, yep, I'm a musician.
I love it. I have followed that journey and have just been your biggest fan, watching it every step of the way. And the thing that you think is going to ruin your reputation solidifies it tenfold because of what you got to create through intention in your life in your 6th, 7th decade. I mean, it's stunning and mesmerizing and just such a testimony to no limits is what it's a testimony to. It's
all
so
about
cool.
Zero limits in every category. Well, if you're following me, you probably already know this, but your audience wouldn't. I had turned 71 at the beginning of, the end of last year, and I enrolled in mixed martial arts training the next day. And I am not only committed, but I'm on my 3rd belt. I've already gone through the white, the gold, and I'm on the orange. And I publicly committed that I'm going to get my black belt in MMA, mixed martial arts, by age 75, which gives me 4 years. And I had met the guy who invented this particular brand of mixed martial arts because he was a fan of The Secret. He knew my work and all that. So we ended up getting together. And he's the one who said, if you just come in, do the work, show up for class and everything, you can have your black belt in 4 years.
Wow.
And I took it on as the next goal.
Yeah.
And at this point, yes, there's still fear. I'm twice as old as my instructor, and everybody else has more experience. They're younger. They're more athletic. I don't have the training. I'm overweight. I'm out of shape. I mean, but I signed up and I'm going.
You're doing it.
Because I'm practicing zero limits. And I think that's the reason I tell these stories is that I'm hoping they inspire others. It's not about what Joe is doing.
Right.
It's about what Joe is doing that inspires you to do your version of that, pursuing a dream, pursuing a passion.
Well, it's working for me, just so you know. It's incredibly inspiring. I mean, I just look at what most people are doing in 60s, 70s, 80s. And like you said, you're living it, you're feeling it, it's exhilarating, it's scary, it's exciting. And that's what we all hope to be doing towards those latter decades of our life. It's amazing. Well, Dr. Joe, you've written you said 90 books, which is...
That's what they tell me. I'm too busy writing books to count them, but they tell me I've written 90.
That's incredible. I love practices. I love processes. It's the way that I can sink my teeth into something. I've always said if I'm in a coaching or a therapy session, I can talk. But then when I leave, I say, okay, this has been great, but what do I do? Give me something to do. What is there a secret or magical process, daily process, morning process that you say start here, or this is, you hear all these things out there, but this is what you stand behind? Is there any type of daily or morning process that you love?
Yes. And I love the question. I'm a very practical guy. I have an entrepreneurial mindset. And this is why when people watch the movie The Secret, they say that it didn't talk about taking action, which is a missing element for a lot of people in getting results. And yet I'm the guy in the movie The Secret who says you have to take action. It's actually your job. Yes. And they fog out when I say it. because I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
And I find that this is the big secret to success is every day and every way you take action to move you in the direction of your dreams.
Yes.
So I even have my little to-do list for today. I got it right in front of me, so I know what it is. I have a master to-do list for the larger projects, which is on a larger piece of paper.
Love.
And all of this is right here. I'm seeing it. So when I get up in the morning, I love quiet time.
Yeah.
So in a way, it's my entering the silence in my communication with what I'll call the divine. Somebody else could call it the cosmos or God or nature or Gaia. There's all kind of words for source.
Yes.
Napoleon Hill called it infinite intelligence. And I always like that phrase, infinite intelligence. So I want to be silent enough to hear it.
Yes.
Because it has intelligence and it could be nudging me like, Joe, here's your next book, or Joe, here's your next song, or Joe, here's the movie, or Joe, call this person, or Joe, something could be there that is an intuitive, inspired nudge from the beyond.
Yes.
I need to be silent enough to hear it, feel it, and then, of course, act on it. I'm a great believer in acting as quickly to the moment of inspiration as possible. And I wrote a book called Money Loves Speed for that very reason. It is saying when you get an idea, there's an orgasmic rush that comes with the idea. We all know that. Oh, I got a great idea for something. But most people don't take action on the idea. Most people just let it go. And if they're lucky, they might write it down and go, I'll get to it later. I have found that when the idea comes, if I act as soon as possible, if not in that very moment, I can use the energy that came with the idea to manifest the idea. So this is another thing that I'm making time to be able to do. On the other end of the day is my gratitude time. I think anybody who's followed me have heard me talk about being in the hot tub. And I get in the hot tub. If I'm not traveling, I'm in California now. When I was in Texas, I did this too. In fact, when I got to California, the house didn't have a hot tub. It was the very first investment. I will not survive. I must have my hot tub. It's my gratitude tub. It's my meditation.
Love it.
And so I get in the hot tub. No cell phones, no computer, no distractions. It's me and the sky or God or the divine.
So powerful.
And I'm saying thank you. I'm going through my gratitude for my day. And I think that acknowledgement of life with gratitude and thankfulness amplifies the great things that will build on it. Too many of us, of course, are spending our time complaining. And as you know, it's low vibe. We attract more of it. We're in the swamp of consciousness when we do it that way. But when we move into gratitude, you elevate everything.
Yes.
The other thing that I would say is not only do I do it at the end of the day, but I've learned to do it throughout the day.
Yeah.
I never used to do that. It was more like just act, maybe meditate, maybe contemplate, but not really gratitude till the end of the day.
Yeah.
Now I've learned no, take as many pauses as possible. I'm looking out my window and there's redwoods and all kind of wonderful things to look at.
Yeah.
And whether it was that or something else to look at is I'm grateful. Look where I am.
Yes.
I was homeless for God's sake.
Right.
I was in poverty for God's sake. I'm living the lifestyle of the rich and famous. I got 90 books. I got 15 albums. I got my own movie. I'm in 30 other movies. It just goes on. And I think we should make more time for listening to the silence.
Yes.
Because it may feed you ideas. Being grateful for what you already have. You may want more.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that, but be grateful for what you already have. So for me, silence in the morning, allowing the inspiration to come, the to-dos that are there, I act on them. On the other end of the day is the gratitude time. I think that's probably useful info right there.
I would say so. I think that's like the magic trio, really. And I think most people start with the morning, right? I always say bookend your days. Make sure you're doing something in the evening, not just watching crappy Netflix or something before you're going to bed. But I really loved what you said about your hot tub, your gratitude tub. There's a shift when you are there without your phone, but specifically looking up at the sky. How many people, I would say almost no one, goes outside at night there's just a shift immediately when you look up at the sky.
Yeah.
It's different than we are so living in all of these man-made bubbles where Wi-Fi's, everywhere. And that's really powerful.
Well, let me explain one more step to this. When I'm in the hot tub, there is a redwood tree. There's lots of them, but there's one in particular that's in my field of vision. And I look at it as my doorway to the divine. I look at that tree and I feel the life force in it.
Oh.
And I feel the same life forces in me.
Yes.
And so there's a merging of energy right there, very natural merging, because literally I'm focused on the tree. And I will begin my gratitude by talking to the tree. Well, the tree goes way up like an antenna.
Yeah.
And it's going to the sky. And so when I follow up with my vision and I look into the sky, looking at the divine, I've already knocked on the door to talk to God. And I've already opened the door.
Yeah.
And I've already got the line open because I'm talking to the energy of the tree.
Yeah.
I'm actually not talking to it. I'm feeling it.
Yes.
I'm feeling there's a life force in it. There's a life force in me. The life force is under my thoughts, under my emotions, inside my body. It's the witness. It's the observer. Well, there's one in the tree.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's
so the
so
tree
powerful.
is my, I don't know if doorway is the right word, but you understand what I'm saying. It's
Connection.
my
It's Wayne Dyer.
transformer.
Yeah. Wayne Dyer used to talk about reaching up and grabbing the trolley strap. Just grab the
Yes.
trolley strap. It's right there. That's your connection.
And that's one way that I do it, yes.
I love that. I love that. I want to ask you one more. Well, I want to ask you 100 more questions, but I'm going to ask you this one before we talk about the movie, because I've been in this space and I feel like I've been desperate to find solutions, and I have found them, thank goodness. But what about when we have everything? Because I'm wondering if you've been in this place where you just said you can look around and go, I've written 90 books, I've been in the movies, I have the dream home, I have the dream life, but I don't feel it. Why am I not feeling gratitude? I'm doing the gratitude practices, I'm meditating, I'm eating clean, I'm doing everything, but you just can't, there's moments where you're like, tears come to your eyes and you're overwhelmed with gratitude for the blessings in your life. And then I feel like there's seasons where you can't get there. What's your advice in those seasons? Is it just keep doing the practices till you come back to it?
What a wonderful question. And I want to be very transparent because you can hear me talk about these successes, and it's real easy to think that, oh, Dr. Joe has it made, and he's under a lucky star and all of that stuff. So first of all, I went through the pandemic just like everybody else. And during the pandemic, I went through a ruthless divorce that lasted 3 years during the same time as the pandemic. In fact, all the court stuff was done over Zoom because it was the pandemic.
Yeah.
And it was confusing, frustrating, traumatizing, expensive, emotional, unforgettable, and so dark. This is also during the pandemic.
Yeah.
My father dies during this time. My mother dies during this time. My best friend dies during this time. A family member attempts suicide during this time. I develop a new relationship with a woman who develops a neural Lyme disease that puts her on her deathbed. I'm her caretaker while going through COVID, divorce, deaths, grieving, all of this kind of stuff. And there are really excruciatingly painful, confusing, dark days.
Yeah.
So what's Dr. Joe do?
Yeah.
I'm human. I feel it. I learned that there was a little mantra that I would tell myself, and I'm oversimplifying everything when I tell you this big drama that lasts 3 years, and I'm oversimplifying it to get to the core. And the core and the message that I was using is that one day at a time, it's all fine. One day at a time, it's all fine. That reduced my focus from disaster thinking, like what's going to play out over the months and the years ahead, to can you get through today?
Yeah.
Yeah. It may not be easy and it may not be pleasant, but I can get through it.
Right.
One day at a time, it's all fine. That was one of the big takeaways right there. I still use it today.
I love that.
I mean, we're all going to have bumps in the road, unexpected rain, or any number of things that weren't what we planned on.
Yeah.
And I think this is another misconception with the law of attraction junkies.
Yeah.
They see The Secret, they read some of my books, some of the other success teachers, and they think, oh, I got it made. I'm never going to have a problem again.
Yep.
You will have a problem again.
Yes.
You're just going to have more tools to help you get through them, which is what I was doing.
Yeah.
Now, I remember early on in the divorce, and I was shaken to the core.
Yeah.
And I asked the attorney, I said, look, this is your life. This is your vocation. What is the best advice you ever heard on going through a divorce?
Yeah.
And he paused and he said a statement that is useful no matter what people are going through. And he said, focus on the future. Focus on the future.
Yeah.
So those two things, one day at a time, it's all fine. They kept me present. Yep. And then focusing on the future, like this is going to unravel at some point. COVID will go away at some point.
Right.
My grieving will lighten at some point. The divorce will be over at some point. So let's move ahead and create a vision of what I would like to have in my life.
Yeah.
And what I would like to experience. So those two things is what helped me ride the waves.
Yeah.
To get here now.
I love that. I mean, I can relate so much. I mean, like I told you, I got sober 25 years ago. And so in one of the most excruciating times of my life where you feel like you can't survive days, you can't survive hours, it really is a life-saving, sanity-saving statement to say one day at a time. You know, you're just living those small time increments. And then you and I both know vision is everything, but we can so easily, even as teachers, lose sight of that vision for our future. And when you can stay focused more on the future than the present, if the present is causing you pain, it shifts everything. Oh, so powerful.
Yeah, I think we need a balance of being grateful for what the moment is giving us because we're getting life. We have this great gift that is bestowed on us.
Yes.
And our judgment can make it feel like, oh, I don't really appreciate it.
Yeah.
But if we can move into gratitude and appreciate whatever is going on in our life while thinking of what we're creating, that little seesaw, that little balancing act, then it really works. It's like you can be happy now, you can be healthy now, you can be grateful now. And you are creating something for the next moments to be grateful for.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So good. Okay, so I want to shift into this movie. I love film, like more than anything.
Right.
There's something about a film, a movie. I mean, I've watched every single thing that is on planet Earth when it comes to manifestation, law of attraction, success. I mean, I've gone back in the archives. There's just something powerful about that type of media that hits you different. So when I was going down the rabbit hole of Zero Limits, it was like, can I just give it to me, for goodness sakes? I'm dying to see it. So how did this begin? Tell us all about it. I am so thrilled that you're doing this and giving this work to the world. So
thank you.
Fill me in.
The movie's called Zero Limits. It's not released. It's been nominated for 27 awards. It's won 11 awards. The premiere for it is coming up in Sacramento in June, but it's already sold out. Every VIP ticket, every general ticket, every seat is taken, which is just mind-blowing to me. It's also telling me that people want this.
Yes.
Even when they don't really know what it's all about, they know that it's my movie. They know that I have guest stars in it. John Asseroff is one of them. They know it's called Zero Limits. But beyond that, it's all speculation. They're just hearing the buzz.
Yeah.
Now, I wanted a movie ever since I was in The Secret. I was in The Secret and I saw what a movie could do.
Right.
I'm an author. I love books. I love people who read books, but not enough people read books.
Right.
They're sitting in front of their TV. They're watching movies.
Yeah.
The concepts that are in the movie The Secret, they've been around forever. They're in books.
Yep.
But people acted like they never heard it before because they never read books. And I went on and I was in 30 some other movies and I kept thinking, boy, this is fairly easy to do.
Yeah. Only for you, Dr. Joe.
This is amazing. And one of my early books, Zero Limits, which brought the concept of Ho'oponopono, which is a Hawaiian healing technique. They brought it to the world. Oh my God, that book is praised. There's cult-like followings behind it. There are people that are swearing they've got by God miracles from the book Zero Limits, from practicing Ho'oponopono. And I kept thinking, I need a movie.
Yeah.
The entire planet needs to know about this. Well, as you know, when you set a goal and you state a vision and you keep putting energy behind it and you keep thinking about it, it stirs the universe.
Yes.
And the universe started to send out messages. And there was a director who came to me, and he was phenomenal. He had already done a movie for John DeMartini and quite a few other people, and he wanted to do one for me. And so that began the process of creating what is now called Zero Limits. And the teaser is at zerolimitsmovie.com. There's a trailer there, and upcoming premieres are there, listed there. zerolimitsmovie.com. The movie will be on Amazon, Netflix, Apple TV much later in the year.
Yeah.
So people can get to a premiere. That would be great.
Yes.
And the movie, it's all about, do we have any limits or not?
Yeah.
It's an exploration. My take on it, and I'm guessing your take on it, is that no, we don't. We have thoughts about what's possible.
Right.
And those thoughts we can question. And most of the time we find out that it's not holding up.
Yeah.
You know, maybe that's a limiting belief as well.
Yes.
And you and I both know these extreme athletes like James Lawrence, who are doing what everybody else thinks is that's crazy. That's impossible. There is no way on earth they're going to do it. And he goes and does it.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, and so the movie is all about what are your limits and can you question them to find out what's on the other side.
Yes.
I'm hoping that people leave, they kind of scratch their head and go, I wonder if I should go for that dream of mine.
Yes.
And then begin to go for it.
Yeah. Because it's all possible. And even that dream of theirs is probably 1% of what you and I know is actually possible in their life. Not even, I mean, less than 1%.
Yeah. Yeah, but I just want them to start. I mean, when I was homeless, I wanted to be an author. I wanted to be published.
Yeah.
And then when I was published, it was like, well, now I want to learn how to sell the book.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there'd be another book. I didn't dream there would be movies, there would be music, there'd be strongman training, there would be MMA training, there would be Move to California.
90 books.
I mean,
when you want to be an author, you want to write a book.
Right.
That's
where we start. You got a dream, you pursue that. And there may be something, and there probably will be something after it.
Yeah, it's inevitable. There will be something after it for you, after the movie. Oh my goodness. I could talk to you for hours and days and weeks on end. And I want to honor your time and just say thank you for being here. Thank you for filling my heart and my soul. I mean, I was drawn to tears. I was drawn to tears when you were talking to the redwood. I was like, whew. Really, truly, thank you for being such an incredible leader over the last 5 decades, 6 decades in this work in the world. I mean, you're really on one of the main people that has been doing this work for so long. I mean, if we go back, 100 years, there might have been 1 or 2 people talking about this. And you've been teaching and talking and helping so many people decades upon decades. So just thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Pretty much made me speechless. Thank you. I'm taking it in. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Joe, again, thank you for your time. We're going to link everything, the premieres, where people can find the movie, your website, your Instagram, everything will be in the show notes. You guys make sure that you promote this movie. I'm going to have a screening at my house minimum for a bunch of people. And share this episode with your friends, share it with your family. Tag Dr. Joe, tag me. We'd love to have you do that. And thanks again for joining us, and we will see you next week.